I've had no chill since 1984. I came out just
No chill.
no, I mean it is interesting to think about that because actually before we got on, I was thinking about the types of people that we were coming in contact with at shows that we were going to talk about the Chaos Crew.
Oh yes, we need to talk about to talk about just the crews, like
yes. So like, but those types of people,
yeah,
and how that level of violence that was normalized, especially because it was. I mean, I literally can't think of any non-white men involved in those crews. How those probably have parlayed into some of the Proud Boy movements that we have now, and the incel groups. And
I actually know some kids that were in crews that are now Proud Boys.
I'm exactly. So like, you know, I think back to, I was thinking of this one show in particular in Sarasota where I had posted something on Makeout Club about the Chaos Crew.
Oh, God.
And I was talking to somebody in between bands, and I heard a clang behind me, and I turned around, and someone had dropped their brass knuckles because they were coming up behind me.
Jesus Christ.
Hit me. And I was like, what the fuck is your problem? Like, I can't believe that you would actually try to, like, first of all, hit a girl, but like, especially like a sneak attack, like what the hell is your problem? Why are you carrying those to begin with? And they were like, you don't walk these mean streets. And I was like, you live in Sarasota. Are you afraid of like an old person taking your money? Like what scary thing are you like encountering that you feel like Sarasota. You need to like exactly, I'm walking the mean like Sarasota is literally full of old people. Like, if you've ever been to downtown Sarasota, you're just like, cool. So why does it smell like mothballs everywhere? Like, you know, like, but these kids like really felt like they needed to prove themselves. And I mean, think about how Florida has gotten redder and redder and redder the older that we've gotten, because like it just continues to perpetuate this like narrative of like, I'm broke, I'm, you know, like miserable. It's got to be somebody else's fault. It has nothing to do with the fact that the government doesn't set us up for success at all. You know, like it's got to be somebody else's fault. And also, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, those motherfuckers also were the people that thought it would be really funny to like say the N-word. Because like it was funny, and they were like, we're the Chaos Crew, and in addition to like listening to hardcore music, we're gonna listen to hip hop and prove that we're like badass N-words. And you're like,
you can't say that.
You can't say that.
like bitch, I'm Dominican and I can't say that. Like,
no. I'm uncomfortable just saying the N-word, let alone like the actual N-word.
Oh,
like,
I've been called it. I've been called an island N-word and a sand N-word. So gross. Yeah, I mean, it didn't go well for them, but they did call me that, to be fair. But anyway, the whole Chaos Crew situation, that was weird. Do you remember when they would show up with with the Hulk hands?
Yes.
These guys, okay, so
doing the floor punching and the whole thing.
Yeah, so this crew, this Chaos Crew, is basically like they were a hardcore gang. Essentially, they fought. They were actually violent. They were legit violent dudes. And they were the guys that would listen to like, you know, Madball and like all that shit. They would listen to all of those bands. But they would also come to the Christian shows because, again, in the mid 2000s, it was hard to find a band that wasn't Christian, like a hardcore band that wasn't Christian almost. Like they were almost the default. Like it was really it's pretty crazy. Like if you look at 2000 to about 2003 or 2004, whenever the Changing of Times came. I think that when the Changing of Times came out was around like the beginning of the end of that era.
That was like 2003.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, like,
Under Oath's Changing of Times, for those who don't know what the fuck we're talking about.
and you bring up that album release show at State Theater.
Yeah.
There was one attempted stabbing. There were 3 macings. Like, because people just thought it was really funny to walk in and spray a crowd and run away.
Yep.
I mean, like, they were just like, hee hee, violence is so fun, and like.
Yeah. I remember kids getting dragged out of shows because like they were in the pit and some asshole came in with either brass knuckles or something happened, and I mean they were legit having to search people and finding stuff like knives and legit switchblades. Like, of all the things, like, switchblades are legitimately illegal. Like, you could stab people with anything else. The switchblade is just such an over the top. Almost like the butterfly knife too is the other one that was always, because people always had those tattoos. Everybody had the butterfly knife tattoo and the brass knuckles tattoo, and everybody had a friend named Atom Bomb.
Yep. Oh, and the nautical star.
And of course, you can't forget the nautical star. But yeah, the chaos. I wonder what happened to those kids. I'm always interested in seeing, like, what kids do when what hardcore kids do when they grow up, because like a lot of I do because like a lot of well, I mean, like, grow up as much as you know one can.
Yeah.
But like, I love seeing like the bits and pieces of like the punk movement in like just grown up life, in everyday grown up life. Like, even, you know, you have guys like next week we're going to try to have comedian Shane Smith. If you watched any dry bar comedy, he's the guy with the face tattoos. I don't know how else to put it.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's really, really funny. But anyway, Finn McKenty from the Punk Rock MBA was interviewing him, and I was watching the thing last Saturday, and I'm like, holy shit. And so they start talking, and it turns out not only is he a straight edge hardcore kid, who's been a straight edge hardcore kid for his entire life, but he the guy, apparently the reason why I wanted to bring up Cruz is because he was, I guess, a part of a crew, is what I imagined, just based on what he was saying. And the crew life, I guess, is a predecessor to being in a motorcycle gang or in a motorcycle club. Like, they recruit kids from there, and like, you know, because a lot of these guys do, like, you know, they fucking rob drug dealers and stuff.
Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
It would make sense that you would get a straight edge, angry ass hardcore kid that's okay with violence to rob a drug dealer. Like, that makes. Look, if you listen to Earth Crisis, this is if you listen to the band Earth Crisis and you listen to their to like any music about veganism, like the way that they talk about meat eaters is like, we're going to kill you all type shit. Like, so
that's true.
It goes, I mean, it just makes sense that, you know, they would feel about the same way about drugs. But yeah, so anyway, so he obviously doesn't do that anymore because he's, you know, he's not in the,
he's nice.
He's a nice dude, and he's a sweetheart of a guy from what I can tell. But like, it's really cool that the reason why I wanted to talk to him is because I'm always interested to see what do scene kids do now that they're fucking 40. You know, because I'm 38. I'll be 39 in March, and you know, like, I like what I do. I'm a fan of what I do. Like, you know, and overall, I'm pretty happy with my life. But I want to see what that looks like for other people. What does that look like for other people? So,
well, I mean, like, we were talking the other day when we were catching up about Hardcore Michelle.
Yes. Yeah.
Who is a social worker now. Like, she really, you know, like,
I love that.
Took that ethos and ran with it. So, you know, like, I think there were enough of us that
that didn't fall into the nihilist area part of the scene. Yeah.
But, you know, like, we weren't fucking posers about it, and we like were part of all of that because we believed it. And you know, she's absolutely living proof of it. She like crawled her way out of like so much bad shit, and you know, like,
good for her.
Yeah,
that's so dope.
She's a bad bitch.
Word. Shout out to Hardcore Michelle.